You reach a point where everything works. Your system is structured, your actions are consistent, habits feel automatic, there is a sense of control and forward movement. It looks like you can achieve anything. Then it breaks. A small disruption occurs, not visibly at first. The entire system collapses within a short time. You stop doing what worked, you fall back to a previous state. The result is not a loss of progress, but a return to a familiar baseline. This creates confusion. You know you are capable of performing at a higher level, yet repeatedly fail to sustain it. This recurrent failure produces a predictable response: frustration, self-criticism, a loss of confidence. The key issue is not the initial failure, but the repetition of the same pattern without understanding its structure. The system fails at the peak. Progress reduces pressure. Reduced pressure removes enforcement. Without enforcement, behavior drifts. At the peak, urgency disappears, constraints weaken, and deviation becomes acceptable. This is failure point, not because performance drops, but because sustained effort to maintain performance is removed. The pattern is a structured regression across value systems under changing conditions: recovery, growth, peak, decline, repeat. Each phase reflects the dominant control layer. Recovery. Behavior is extremely enforced. You have fixed routines that represent non-negotiable actions. High pressure leads to strict compliance. At the growth stage, established structure supports performance. Optimization increases efficiency without removing rules. Progress accelerates because control and output are aligned. Then you reach a peak. Your focus shifts from rules to outcomes. Rules are selectively bypassed if results remain stable. Flexibility increases, but enforcement decreases. As enforcement weakens, your structure becomes negotiable. Afterwards, you face a decline. Under low pressure, immediate reward overrides delayed outcomes. You skip your routines, delay important tasks, and exception making increases. Without enforcement, there is no structure to suppress deviation from your path. This is not random, it is predictable regression. Decreased pressure leads to weaker self-control. Weaker enforcement leads to weaker constraints. Without constraints, you sleep. The cycle is a result of system instability. Collapse begins at smallest deviation: one skipped action, one delayed task, one exception. For examples, you skip one workout using fatigue as an excuse. You mark it as self-care or some other bullshit, then routine becomes optional. Or you delay one task to prioritize around comfort, or maybe to watch Netflix or some bullshit like that. Your deadlines lose weight and execution drifts. You allow one exception that is justified by comfort. It lowers your standards and brings you back to your baseline. The sequence is simple: deviation, justification, lowered standard, and repeated deviation. Each step reduces resistance to the next. It can compound and lead you to a lower state. The system does not fail instantly. It becomes unstable first. Instability appears as reduced pressure, inconsistent execution, and increased decision friction. Collapse is the final stage of accumulated instability. It is a compounding result. All domains of your life share limited resources: attention, energy, decision capacity. It can be bigger or smaller, and you can change it, you can train. But you must remember that fatigue is built from all sources. A single deviation increases cognitive load. Obvious example: reduced sleep leads to lower cognitive capacity and worsened decision making. It becomes a point of deviation and can lead to further degradation to a lower state. At the point of deviation, you brush it off like this doesn't matter, or you will do it a bit later. It is not neutral thought, it is failure signal. Denial disconnects known outcomes from current decisions. As a result, a small deviation in a singular domain strains your brain resources, and it transfers across other areas of life. Later, it degrades performance there. Failure spreads because the system is coupled, and you should know it. Control is only effective at low entropy, while you have capacity to enforce it at low cost. As entropy increases, your focus drifts, control accuracy decreases, and intervention cost increases exponentially. Late intervention is inefficient because momentum is already going down. Control must occur at the point where deviation is still isolated and momentum is still up. Consistency is not about high performance and intensity, it's about structured, predictable behavior with low to none variance. Control is implemented through constraints. You detect deviations immediately, and any break from baseline behavior is flagged. Then you block justification at first occurrences. No interpretation, no negotiation, just block. Justification is not acceptable. You must enforce minimum standards that are fixed independent of state. And any patterns should be interrupted instantly and corrected at the same time. Then, if you successful at that, you preserve structure at the peak, not when it's going down. Each rule exists to prevent initial drift, and if your behavior drifts, rules are here to limit damage and stop it spreading across. Without structure at the peak, the system will always collapse after progress. When things start going well, the rules often get relaxed because everything feels under control. That is where the problem begins. The loop is consistent. Performance improves, control feels less necessary. Rules get loosened and ignored. Small exceptions start happening. Exceptions repeat and become normal. Standards slowly drop without a clear decision. Work becomes inconsistent. The system loses stability, performance breaks down, recovery only happens after structure is rebuilt. If rules stay consistent, the system holds. If rules weaken during success, the system breakdown pattern repeats over time. Consistency is not about effort. Consistency is about rules and systems.